Good afternoon, everyone. We are the Group 4, and today we will be reporting the two social groups, the Gemeinschaft and Gesellschaft by Ferdinand Tonis. For today's reporting, we will be discussing 4 topics: a brief background of Ferdinand Tonis, the Wissenwell and Kerwell, the concept of Gemeinschaft and Gesellschaft, and lastly, the Gemeinschaft and Gesellschaft in modern times. To start, my name is Angelic Shara Amiu, and I will be your first reporter for this afternoon. Ferdinand Julius Tonis was born and raised at Oldensworth, Schleswig on the 26th of July, year 1855. He was a teacher at the University of Kiel, a German sociologist and the co-founder of the German Society of Sociology. Tonis also had major contributions in sociological theory and field studies. He was well known for his distinction between the two types of social groups, the Gemeinschaft, which is the German word for community, and Gesellschaft, the German word for the society. This sociological theory reconciled the organic and social concepts of society. Moreover, Tonis was also known as one of the founding fathers of modern sociology. His present work lays great emphasis on his relationship to European political, as well as to the legacies of Hobbes and Kant. So most likely, his sociological theory is connected and based on Thomas Hobbes and Immanuel Kant political philosophy theory. Tonis' identification of Gemeinschaft and Gesellschaft is a classic of social and political theory in the later modern period. It focuses mainly between small-scale, kinship, and neighborhood-based communities, and as well as the large-scale and competitive market societies. In simplified meaning, Gemeinschaft is about the natural will, the innate behavior or an act that highly disregards practicality. And Gesellschaft, or the irrational will, is the most opposite of it. The following reporters will thoroughly explain the difference between Gesellschaft and Gemeinschaft and what are their function in our society. Thank you for listening.
Hi everyone, I am Ruby April Jean Gaviola, and my task is to discuss the types of human will. The first one is Wissenwil, and the second one is Kerwill. Tonis identified the Wissenwil as natural will, since it directs thoughts to the natural basis of the Wissenwil in drives, instincts, and emotions. Wissenwil is predominantly in Gemeinschaft forms. Next is Kerwill. This is the will that is subject to it or rational will. It is indirect and impersonal interhuman relationships motivated by rational self-interest. So when we talk about Wissenwil, it talks about natural basis, and we talk about Kerwill, it talks about rational. These two standard type of will are to be strictly separated, but of course, in applied sociology, empirically, they are always mixed.
I am Gladysel Darasin, the third reporter from this group, and I am going to discuss about the personal and moral nature of social ties within a Gemeinschaft. According to Tonis, Gemeinschaft or community is comprised of personal and social ties, means family or social ties to which a person devotes most of his time, not devoted to occupational ties, and in-person interactions that are defined by traditional social rules and result in an overall cooperative social organization. The values and beliefs common to a Gemeinschaft are organized around appreciation for personal ties. And because of this, social interactions are personal in nature. When Weber wrote about these terms in Economy and Society, he suggested that a Gemeinschaft is produced by the subjective feeling. From the word subjective, it means personal feeling. Example, it could be happiness, anger, fear, surprise that is tied to affect and tradition.
Hi everyone, I'm Lizelle, and for the continuation of our report, my part is the rational and efficient nature of social ties within a Gesellschaft. So Gesellschaft or society is comprised of impersonal and indirect social ties and interactions that are not necessarily carried out face to face. So these social ties do not require in-person interactions. They can be carried out via telegram, telephone, in written form, through a chain of command, and etc. So another example is by chatting your friends on Messenger, which is also a kind of impersonal interactions. The ties and interactions that characterize a Gesellschaft are guided by formal values and beliefs that are directed by rationality and efficiency as well as by economic, political, and self-interest. So just like when a person sends a written letter, so it has to be guided by formal values that will show the sincerity of the sender as well as directed by rationality and efficiency in order to properly express the message while keeping the formal tone of the letter. So this is very important in order to avoid miscommunication since there is no in-person interaction happening. So while social interaction is guided by reason will or seemingly naturally occurring emotions in a Gemeinschaft, in a Gesellschaft, her will or rational will guides it. So as a result, people tend to be conscious on the way they respond to social ties and interactions with Gesellschaft. Thank you.
Gemeinschaft and Gesellschaft in modern times. When comparing rural versus urban environment, it's important to recognize that Gemeinschaft and Gesellschaft are ideal types. Gemeinschaft, which is typically translated as community, is a word that refers to people who are linked by common conventions, such as shared physical space or shared ideas. Gesellschaft, which is typically translated as society, refers to organization which is membership is based primarily on self-interest. So these are the advantages of rural areas. There are less air pollutions in rural areas since there is less traffic and there are fewer manufacturing operations than in urban areas. There is less crime. Rural locations do not have the same levels of crime as densely populated urban areas. Because of the reduced crime rate, it's also less expensive to insure your home. Advantage of urban areas. In urban regions, there are frequently better quality roads and well-built dwellings. Transportation infrastructure is well developed and it receives regularly financing upgrades. In a city or town, getting from one location to another can be quicker. The majority of amenities and entertainment are within walking distance.
Good day everyone, my name is Marjon and I'll be continuing what JV started in terms of Gemeinschaft and Gesellschaft in modern times. This means that while they're useful conceptual tools for viewing and understanding how society works, they're rarely observed exactly as their state, and they're not mutually incompatible. Instead, you are likely to see the same type of social order that exists in the social environment around you. While living in a complicated, post-industrial culture, you may find yourself in communities where social interactions and social engagement are driven by a sense of tradition and moral obligation. Gemeinschaft is still present in a modern society, though it is a form of a pure sociology concept which Ferdinand didn't expect to find in a pure society as today. Individual rights and freedoms are guaranteed in democracies today, but the citizens always have some common public consciousness during the times of catastrophe. For example, a natural disaster that devastates a city will see the citizens volunteer to help their affected comrades, irrespective of whether they had something or in common. For example, when various calamities hit our country, even though we both face different problems, in countries where Gemeinschaft and Gesellschaft exist, still they show that they are unified when it comes to crises that impact them, such as Typhoon Odette in Surigao and Typhoon Agaton in Leyte. The scarcity of food, water, clothing, and other essential things. The people united to help those devastated by the storm. It comes from different people, individuals and groups, in the same goal to provide help. It is, however, difficult to put societies into a pure Gemeinschaft category as each society has a mixture of Gesellschaft in it. Some societies combine both to be more balanced and efficient.
And that would be all. I hope you have learned something from this video. Thanks for watching.